This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa. You are not Mickey Mouse, you're a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Ooh, welcome to Rat Castle, a progressive chat about theme park magic without the pixie dust. I am your host, Konnichiwa, Nathan Hartman, back from the land of the rising sun. And here with me on this wonderful podcast is two of my favorite rats. Sarah, hello, Sarah.
Hello, how are you guys?
Wonderful. And Dave, welcome, Dave. Good to see you.
Howdy, welcome back. Good to see you too.
Thank you. I will have to say that just to get it out of the way, everyone always asks, what was my favorite thing that I ate? And the answer is egg salad sandwiches. People don't like that response, but that's it. I ate like 9 of them. Like everything, it just past 7-Eleven, I grab an egg salad sandwich.
They're amazing though.
They're amazing. And they're like, I don't know, the yen is terrible. So it's like, I don't know, 6 cents or something.
Yeah.
Did they have their fruit and cream sandwiches at the 7-Eleven when you were there?
Honey, did they? I had those. I went to Michikashi and I got the fancy ass ones. So for those who know, you probably recognize the name if you've gone to Epcot and you've been to the Japanese pavilion. Michikashi is the store there. Here's the thing about real Michikashi. I'm saying that wrong, but whatever. Here's the thing. They don't want crap. They just want like Burberry and like not Aeropostale, but like Polo and like that whole store is fancy and like super, super bougie. And yeah, has none of the Totoro stuff that you're used to in the one in the Japan pavilion. No. But they have an amazing, in the basement, they have an amazing like eatery area where it's like a market. You can buy all sorts of stuff. So yes, I had fruit sandwiches. They're amazing. If it seems like, okay, I didn't see one crust of bread the entire time I was in Japan. It's like all
That's
Japanese.
Such a valid point.
Yeah. Japanese culture is like a 3-year-old. It's just like no crust. I will not eat crust. And I'm for it. Honestly, didn't miss it. Yeah, and we'll talk way more about aspects of my trip because we are going to hold back. Ding! Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. We will talk more about all this in a episode later on this summer because, sorry, you're still going to go to Japan this summer, as is Victoria. And so we will have a big old fancy, sit down, prep, get a sandwich, because we're going to be talking kind of episode about Tokyo and all of Tokyo Disney, and we'll go through everything. But for now, we will kind of, I'll hint at some stuff that we'll talk about today. I did want to say Happy Pride to everybody. Happy Pride. Welcome to Pride Month.
I should have worn my Allies Could Be Eye Candy shirt, damn it.
As should I have, and I forgot.
I wore it to the parks this week, though. So.
Hey, there you go. That said, beyond our merch, which you can still buy on our TeePublic site, and all the proceeds go to the Trevor Project, I don't know, Dave, I mean, it's not they're not selling to me. I kind of feel like we've run the course now. I feel like, I don't know. It's like, okay, Target, there's Rainbow. All right. Like nothing's exciting. Even Disney, I'm like, all right, it's another cupcake. We're good.
I think that, yeah. I mean, I think there's a market difference in Target's a different thing entirely because I think they're making merch for Target that has like plausible deniability, right? It's so bland.
Love.
Yeah,
don't worry. It's Valentine's Day 2.0.
Or it'll be like Slay or Yas, like just randomly put on something.
Yeah. Right. When last couple of years they had like trans specific merch and it's just they're capitulating and it's really disappointing. Who knows if that pendulum will swing back the other way. I'm not one of those people who bashes rainbow capitalism in general because yes, it can be disingenuous like that, and yes, it's gonna come and go based on profits. But my thing is like, if one kid in a iffy town sees one thing on a shelf, it's something. It's something. It's like it sucks that it has to be that, but sometimes that's going to help, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's accurate. I'm trying to think. There's a quote by, I think it's Harvey Firestein. I think that seems right, where he says,
unfortunate name.
"No, not Harvey Weinstein. Harvey
No, I know,
Firestein.
I know. I was like, that's such a close name.
No, he's a legend. But he said,
no, he's a legend.
Yeah.
It was something
I know.
it was something like awareness at all costs, something of that nature.
Yeah,
right. And I think it's still accurate. I mean, isn't that the goal to be? I don't know, to have your own holiday merch and it's boring and it's like, oh, whatever, it's there every year, right? That would have been the dream.
And a lot of the rainbow merch, like at least at Universal, stays around all year. Like they announce it and re-release it, or have an updated versions. But there's a little corner of the shops at Universal Hollywood, at least, that always has it. And I've seen it at Disney too, where it's like, they'll have the thrift. It just stays around. So it's like, ultimately that's the goal, right? That there's always a rainbow section, I guess.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I'm all for it. As long as Universal says they're giving 100% of the proceeds of their Love is Universal merch to organizations, which is great, except maybe also don't give money to Republicans in Florida Universal, maybe. So, that's corporate business. But anyway, enough with that. Let's go to the news. The news this week. Nothing's really happened and everyone's real chill. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Nah, not a lot going on.
Super chill.
Super
Twitter
chill.
didn't blow up at all or anything.
No.
People weren't fighting. Slurs weren't being used. It was a nice time.
No slurs. None.
No slurs.
None. Sarah, something opened? Was it a churro cart? What was it?
It's whatever. I think it was a store or something like that. But no, it is Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It's finally soft open. My favorite ride, if you couldn't see by the bags, I have like this bag and then I have another bag.
You've not even ridden it yet. You can't make it a favorite ride.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's a favorite no matter what. Let me show you. Hold on. Let me pull this out. Hold on.
Well, as you can expect, we will have some unbiased thoughts this episode.
Okay, that is super cute, though.
Isn't that so cute? Look.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and then, oh my gosh, look at the back. Hold on. Look at the back.
Oh my god. Look.
Look at the
back.
It's
okay,
cute.
There she is.
Isn't that so cute? Anyways, so
cute.
The ride opened.
Yes.
We don't really care at all, obviously. But it's really exciting.
You're totally not jealous of Victoria, who's not here because she's currently in Disney World. Yeah.
She's so freaking lucky. She's going to get to ride it twice, which is amazing.
What? I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she gets to go. She's riding it now for the soft open, and then she'll be riding it again 2 weeks right before we go to Japan, which is crazy. But it's soft open, like I said. And what was really interesting about this soft open is that Disney released their own POV of the ride, which I'd never seen them do before. Do they even have ride POVs on their channel?
Yes. So here's what's weird. Recently, they've been doing POVs. I don't know if this started during COVID. I don't think so. But they could have done that. That would have been really smart because it takes like one person.
Right.
But I know they released some because when they refurbed Indy over at Disneyland, they put out a video version. And I grabbed it immediately because it had source audio of the new version on it with changes. I was like, it's mine.
Wow.
I was like, who does that? Incredible. I'll take it. And like, all of the lines, everything Indy said, snakes, you're on your own. Like that's a line that I have been absent from my original copy for ever. And so I added it in. So, I mean, it's the whole thing. And then there's Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Yeah.
Can we, Nathan? Should we have a little edumacation for the children's about aperture and lens depth and
please
cinematic?
Please.
y'all sit back.
Come
for
on,
your,
film professor.
y'all
Come on.
film professor time. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know what lens they use, but first of all, they did it wrong because if they were going to do it the way they did it, which was a stationary camera, they really should have just released a 360-degree version.
Yep.
Right.
Because
and let you pan around or watch it in VR.
Yeah.
Because that's how I rewatched it. Because it took about, I don't know, 6 hours into the soft opening for someone to have already 360 videoed it, you know, to really get an idea of where things were. And they just to shorthand it, I guess what we're commenting on is we have been talking in our group chat before the episode here about how people are, you know, losing their mind,
how crazy, how bad the ride is based on that Disney POV. And here's the thing. I can't disagree with them because the POV is shit.
It's
awful. It's awful. It's a lockdown shot. It's too wide. Everything looks a million miles away because they're using this real wide angle lens.
So they have decided that to give you an idea, there is, when you put a lens on a camera, right? If you want to match the human eye, you would put a 50 millimeter on it. That's what we call the old nifty 50, and which a lot of cameras will just come with one. And most of
the photos you shoot with your phone camera, the default 1 rather than wide or zoom, that's basically that.
Right. And that's why you don't get like headaches and dizzy while looking at your camera all day and trying to take photos, because that would really freak you out. Okay. That they could have done. Put a 50. I would have liked the stationary, but we would have gotten some concept of what we call the Z-axis. So there's 3 axes when talking about film. There is the Y-axis, which is the up and down in the frame, right? And there's the X-axis, which is horizontal across. And then movies, of course, are 2D, right? They are a 3D image smushed into 2D. So how we sort of manipulate and sometimes make things feel far away or whatever is we use 2 kind of concepts. We use focus, right? If things are out of focus, we understand internally as an audience, because we've been taught this, look at the other thing that's in focus, basically, right? The other thing is we play with the Z-axis, and the Z-axis is depth. It's fake. So in the sense that it's a 2D image. So what that does is if you have a normal thing, like this is if I'm trying to do this on video, so sorry, my audio people, if you have something way up here and something back here, and let's say that's what it looks like on a 50, right? You have one hand up. I have one hand up front and one behind me. They're going to get smushed closer together depending on what kind of lens you use, or pushed farther apart depending on what types of lens you use. The farther apart would be something like a wide angle lens, because let's take, for example, Smuggler's Run. Anytime you see a good video or a good photo of Smuggler's Run, it's the widest lens possible. And it's got that kind of bowed effect to it because it's such a small space. You can't really show that with a 50. Your eyes can't even see it all with a 50. Now, when you are a $1 billion company, you would think that you would understand these concepts because you own a movie studio, and you might think, oh, we've also done a ton of marketing for this, and why don't we consider that as we're going through a 3-dimensional ride and showcasing it? And they do not. It is a super wide lens. The absolutely the wrong lens for what they're doing. Dave,
I have a thought. Like the first, because I kept going through my head, why would they do this? Why would they not? Like in my head, not only is it the wrong lens, it shouldn't have been a lockdown. It should have been somebody panning around like you do with your own eyes and your own head. It should have been maybe a couple of cuts to close-ups and wider shots, seeing a boat go by, be more like a marketing video.
Right.
I have a feeling the internal discussion was probably, no, the audience wants authenticity because people do this all the time with their own cameras, and they don't want cutaways. They don't want it to be faked out by marketing. They want it to feel authentic. I bet you that was the discussion. Well, the problem is exactly what you say, is that they picked the wrong damn lens, and everything looks like I watched that video and I get it. It doesn't look great, but the elements look great to me, and I want to see them better.
Yeah. There are moments where Tiana looks like she's 1,000 yards away. And then
Yeah.
like,
And the
you're like,
proportions seem so off because she's so far away.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
So that
so
part was very odd.
weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why they made these choices. And immediately, it didn't take long for 360 video, 4K video, HD video, all sorts of variations to come out that were, to be clear, people that wrote it once, and they immediately did a better job than Disney's.
Yeah.
This might be, this sounds really crazy, but this might be one of the biggest Disney marketing flubs in a decade. And I only say that because I don't think it's going to be a failure on their end. It's not going to cost them any money, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. How you go through this entire process. You're so meticulous about every little detail. And then you're like, I don't know, like, let's put a camera in a boat and make it face forward. And then we'll release that the day this thing like soft opens, which
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I've already been through one of the 360 ones that were posted on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And in 360 videos on YouTube, I can watch it in VR mode on my Quest. And it'll take that 360 and wrap it around where I can actually look around like I'm really sitting in it. And the ride's great. The ride is so good. I didn't want to spoil it for myself, but I had to be like, I was so confused by the POV. I'm like, there must be better footage. And I've already seen better footage posted that it feels intimate. It feels close. It feels busy. There's too much. It's that last scene. There's too much to take in. It's going to take multiple rides to see all the gags and all the movement and all the color.
Right.
So this is all to say, hey, audience out there, people who are judging a ride's experience based on a video. First of all, any video, you shouldn't be basing your opinion on it. At all. Even if it's a good video, you shouldn't be basing your opinion on it because you don't know how it feels. This is a spatial art form, not a two-dimensional screen art form. This isn't cinema. It is theater. And you can't, and most theater doesn't translate to filmed versions of it. And this is even more so because it's like theater plus architecture. You can't experience a building by a walking tour, right?
Yeah.
And so the people who are lambasting it as the worst thing, pipe the fuck down. Like, Jesus Christ, go ride the thing first.
Well,
like, you're allowed to hate it. You're allowed to hate it, but you had your minds made up already if you were deciding on a two-dimensional video.
They knew what they thought 6 months ago. It's always the same people because they're like, oh, it looks terrible. It's a real failure. And then you look at their thing and they're like, Brer Fox 69. And you're like, well, no shit. Like, what else did I expect?
Yeah.
I mean, did you guys, there was a few threads that I was reading on Twitter that were talking about how the story of the ride has no climax the same way that Splash Mountain did and how it's such a boring ride.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts on that? I want to know your thoughts.
I do want to know. I do want to talk about this. And we might be slightly on different planes of thought here, Dave. So go ahead first.
What is the story of Splash Mountain? What is the story of Splash Mountain?
It's not Fire Rabbit.
It's not
being chased. The whole situation.
Yeah, Rabbit, and then basically targeting.
Rabbit evades Fox and Bear.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the story.
Wait. I know what they're saying here, which is Lift Hill is
it's the
climax.
anticipation. Yeah, right? Like the anticipation of going down the ride and that fear and seeing the vultures.
There are two vultures.
They're talking about that.
How do I put this?
But the shrinking and de-shrinking dramatically in the movie are important.
Sure.
And the shock of coming back to full size makes sense for that drop. I would defend it.
But you're already full size before you take the drop. You're full size when you hit the bottom of the lift hill because Mama Odie.
You're taking the lift hill as a shortcut to get to the party.
Mama Odie is already full size.
Yeah, sure.
So technically, the lift hill is not part of it. Yeah.
But do we need do all the rides that we have to be like these anxiety-inducing rides?
Yeah.
Like, does that need to be a thing? Like,
Let's
it
talk
could
about
just
that.
be a fun, cute ride.
Let's
like,
talk about
I don't
that.
see the point.
First of all, we should be very clear. I'm going to spoil. All right. Like, we're going to spoil. So if you don't want to know, look, I'm not going to put any video because it would be us talking through video and it would give me like hours of work to lay it all out. And I don't want to spoil for people visually. And I'm lazy and I got other things to do. So like no video, no pictures. If you want to see it, there'll be a little hints in, because guess what? Victoria wrote it and we have a review coming up. So that'll be great. But if you want to watch it, go ahead, go watch it now if you haven't already and come back. If not, I don't know, skip like 1,000 years.
Like a minute.
Because minute? I don't even know. Like, ooh, this is going to be a long conversation. Okay. So here's the thing. Splash Mountain is the poster. I think posters are the best way to explain this. Splash Mountain's poster is very much, hey, whoa, you're going to go down a big old thing, right? And Tiana's is never mind that big old drop behind me. I am Tiana, right? That is what that poster is, right? It's very much literally hiding the drop. I think it's weird to act as if this was a new ride, right? The same thing, but Splash Mountain never existed. We'd all go, well, why is there this massive drop? It doesn't match the ride because everything's chill and fun. And then there's this massive drop. And I think the thing is they want it to be more of a kid-friendly ride, right? They are leaning towards the more positivity thing, but you still have a height requirement. So, I like.
They didn't alter the drop, right? It's not shorter or anything, right?
No, it's the same,
nothing's changed. So, I don't know how you get by that. Long time ago, when we were starting to talk about, what's this going to be like? I remember saying, they should name it like Mardi Gras Falls, right? Like something like that, because like you can't ignore the fall. Like you're going to take a fall, and I think we all sort of. And I don't want to. First of all, I don't want to take our assumptions and say they're better than what this is. I think that's dumb. And that's like going into a movie and being like, I know what I want. And then you don't get it. And you're like, I'm mad. And it's like, well, that's not what the movie was. Right. But I think there was these expectations people came in with of, well, there's a drop, right? So there's going to be some sort of intensity that you got to get away from, or you got to fall for a reason or whatever. And there's not really a thematic reason for the drop. Right? Like
what do you mean? You just said it's a shortcut.
I mean, Dave.
It's Mama Odie saying you gotta make it to the party. I mean,
sure. Like look, that's a reason. I just don't know if it's I don't know why you're gonna no kid is tricked by this. If the kid is like, I'm nervous about the drop,
I don't think that's why they did. I don't think that's why they did that. And I just don't disagree. I don't agree that the anticipation isn't inherent because you're going up a hill and you know you're going to drop. I don't think this new one decreases the anticipation at all. I think the story is, we need to make it. We got to hurry up, and this is the fastest part of the ride. So I don't get that criticism at all. I think people know there's a drop. I don't think it's about lessening the impact for kids. Everybody knows
you can't. Right.
At this point.
So I guess that's my problem is why market it the way you've been marketing it? Like, why not embrace the drop more? Because it's a part of it's the feature.
I think that's a fair point. The drop is a fair point. I will say that. Where like it doesn't really, if we're being very honest, does Tiana's make sense in terms of taking over Splash Mountain? I don't know. But it's here and I freaking love it. Oh, that's all I got. Look, it's fine.
I know.
Why is there a drop in Frozen? I mean,
that too.
Yeah.
So it's like it's
but those
just
are tiny drops.
These rides being rethemed, and I think the retheme of it works. And like what Dave was saying, the reason makes sense. Is it perfect? Not necessarily. But do I think that it just makes sense for what it is? And this is a shortcut that you got to take, and this is already the infrastructure of the ride, and it is what it is. Yeah.
I do miss Facilier. I can't get by it. I just can't get around it. Like, I love a good bad guy. And I don't need him to show up.
No, and Facilier could have been the reason for the drop or
I mean, you just need a little bit of masks and black magic and it's like a little bit.
But I guess that's the reason it was pulled out of the parks is for misrepresenting voodoo, right? There were actual complaints about it.
from what I've heard, and I can't guarantee this is accurate. I don't think Disney is sort of, unless the god's name is Thor or Loki, they're kind of like, those are white dudes, we're cool, but they are taking a real step back from any religious iconography or religious stuff. I saw this on something else. I'm trying to remember what it was. But just, you can kind of tell they don't want to dive into those aspects that
Which
were
is
part of the
completely
ride.
fair. Because it's like when it comes to voodoo, there's been such negative representation all across the board. So it's like, might as well just not even touch it. Don't even acknowledge it. Just remove it. But then it was such a major part of the movie. So I get that.
I think when you have a voice like Keith David, it's really hard for me to not want that thing laughing at me as I fall down a hill.
Yeah.
But again, I'm making stuff up. Like, this is not what the
like
ride
falling
is.
into the underworld. That would have
Or
been,
falling out of the other
something.
side, or there's stuff. It could even been Mama. It literally can just be Mama Odie at the top saying, right, if from drop where we shrink, and all of that is other side stuff, right? Blacklight and Spooky Dookie, and you have the mist sort of showcasing masks and stuff, and then Mama Odie's at the launch hill going, I can get you out of here, like go, and then you go down the thing. There's at least this sort of like urgency of, okay, you're getting out, you're dropping out of the other side or whatever.
Right.
Sure.
That's not what the ride is, though. I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to judge it on that. I just feel like what I can judge it on is what the Princess and the Frog is, right? Because that is the template for what this is, and so it's hard for me.
But
to
isn't it kind of cool that they are moving a bit away and they're giving us Tiana's future, and it's kind of a different aspect of it, and it's not necessarily just a carbon copy of the movie. I think that's the part that I think is my favorite about the ride.
Totally, I have no issue with that. All I'm saying is, even if they were to make a sequel, don't think that they weren't going to. Well, I don't know about Disney now. But if Disney had said Princess and the Frog made double what it had made, which wasn't, it wasn't a smashing success for its time. But let's say it made a grand, a real box office explosion. And then they're like, okay, we're making a sequel. Facilier would have been in it. He's just on the other side, right? Like, it would have been a different sort of variation.
They wouldn't have killed him off, is what you're saying.
They didn't kill him off anyway. He just got dragged to hell. Yeah. Who hasn't come back? I've seen Sam Raimi's movie. You can get dragged back from hell. It's part of it. So, but anyway, I think this is a really cute ride. I don't necessarily
to judge it based off of like a bad POV.
That also doesn't include the queue and the setup and the pre-show.
And there's so much in the queue. Like, there are letters from her dad talking about the war. Like, there are so many different things. So it's like, to just be judging it off of that is such a it's such an injustice.
The queue is certainly better than Splash Mountains. Like, it's just far more intricate.
Splash. I don't even remember the queue for Splash.
That's kind of my point. Beyond a couple things, there wasn't a ton. Let's talk about the original song, though. Original Spice?
No,
Spice?
Special Spice.
Special Spice? My favorite Spice Girl, Special Spice.
So Disney released a new song.
And not like that, Dave. Not like that, Dave.
Anyway.
Not like that, Dave.
So, there's a new song
yes.
for the ride. It's called Special Spice, and it is the song that's going to be playing at the end for the finale fun show. It's a really good song. It's very fun, and like Victoria said, it's going triple platinum at her house. So I mean, it's very fun. It's a cute, fun song, you know,
right.
And it's Anika Nani Rose, you know, the original Princess Tiana. So I don't know, you guys have obviously heard it, so it's a bop. That's kind of all we got.
It's a bop.
Stream it.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's good.
It's fun.
Yeah. It's one of those songs that like I don't think I'm into, and then it's kind of like Runaway Railway. It's like, yeah, it's nice, and then it's like really in my head. So I think it is an earworm to say the least.
Definitely.
Like, you know, I'm like ignoring it. I'm like, it's fine, and then it's like,
and then you're nothing can stop us now. Yeah, like I can't get that out of my head now.
That was so good. That was really good.
So
right. Gonna make it happen.
Any other thoughts before we go to Victoria's?
I mean, I'm honestly just excited for this ride. I think it's such an awesome way to fully represent Tiana in the parks in such a grand and big way. And to anyone that, oh my God, I saw that one of these Twitter accounts, and it was like, one of those Briar Rabbits 69 Twitter accounts. And it was like, guys, I'm gonna have to say it. I kind of actually like the ride, and it was like so funny. So I don't know. I love it. I love it like, before even riding it.
If any of these people think like there's going to be a ghost town and no line for this ride because
fucking right.
They're right. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
No way. I think that's, for me, that's sort of the issue with so it's in soft opening, right? And you still have these people who are like, oh, the ride was down for 4 hours yesterday. Like, can you believe it?
Or Louis' mouth was broken.
Can you believe
Louis's mouth was broken.
What kind of thing is this? And it's like, guys, that's what a soft opening means. Like, that's the point.
They're working out the kinks, idiots.
Guess what? I was in Japan at a soft opening, and rides broke down there too. It's part of it.
Rides break down on a regular, okay? Indy breaks down every third hour, so stop. And
it might in Disneyland. It sure as hell doesn't in Tokyo. I'll tell you that.
No. Well, that's because those are the electromechanical bases, which they did not.
It makes a difference.
Here makes a difference.
And we have hydraulics, right?
I remember the hydraulic bases are
it is weird going into a ride like that and not smelling hydraulics. It's real weird. I'm so used to it. I'm so used to it. And on the 9 times I rode Indy, I was like, no hydraulics. Oh, hell yes. It's like one of 2 single riders in Tokyo DisneySea.
Yeah, it's a good version of that ride. It's really great.
It's the best version of the ride.
Yeah.
You better not say that out loud. They're gonna jump you, Nathan.
True.
I don't know.
It's got stuff that's got fake smoke fire that shoots out at you.
Okay, that one gag I will give you.
It's a good gag.
One gag.
You'll have to explain why you think what you think is better, because it's got a big old ass tornado in the middle of it too. I don't remember no tornado.
True.
In your Disneyland
That's true.
one.
That's true.
We have new projections, okay?
Let me explain how they're like, oh, Indy, it's not enough. We're also just going to do Twister Ride It Out right in the middle of it, just for fun. It'll just happen in the middle of the ride. So
just as a treat. Just as a treat.
Anyway, I'm glad we're talking about that. It's definitely what this was all about. Anyway, we should now go to our lady of the Bayou, who is reporting for us because Victoria has ridden the ride today with our good friend Joe, fellow Rat Bastard Joe. So here you go. Here is Victoria.
What's up, Rat fam? I'm here with fellow Rat Bastard Joe.
Hey, what's up?
So we are here for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. As you can see, we are not on it.
They won't let us in.
They won't let us in. Well, it apparently hasn't been open since we got here. So we're just patiently waiting so we can ride it. In the meantime, me and Joe, we will get footage when they decide to let our people in. So, but here it is. Vanna White. Yeah. We waited 3 damn hours, and we got it. I can't stop crying. The finale scene was so good. I was good until the finale scene, and then the thug tears came. So good. It's good. So good.
So good.
It's so good. It's just like that. I went in blind, and there was parts I didn't expect. Like there were scenes that like were really good that ended up being my favorite that I didn't think would end up being my favorite. But yeah, it's going to be a good addition.
Yeah.
Thank you, Victoria. I'm so glad you got on it. That's a
Aw.
rough 3 hours, but girl got verklempt.
But you did it.
Yeah, girl, as she said, thug tears for Tiana. That's what she said.
TTTs.
TTTs. All them thug tears for Tiana. But yeah, so I'm
so happy she got on that
Yeah.
ride. I feel like
Me
she's
too.
been reporting on it
Me
for
too.
years, and it meant so much to her. So I'm so happy that you got on there, Victoria.
Absolutely.
Yay. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Joe.
Yes, thank you,
Yes,
Joe.
thank
for
you, Joe.
getting her
Thank you,
on there.
Joe.
It's always good to have friends of the mouse. So let's talk about another Magic Kingdom topic, which is maybe thornier than a previous briar patch that was in Frontierland.
Ooh.
And that, of course, is the DAS, the DAS policy has come into effect at the Magic Kingdom. Dave, can I have an update on how that's going overall?
Not good. It's it is there's a petition that's got about 16,000 signatures because many disabled individuals are feeling more excluded from the parks, and there's a lot of online videos and posts about people finding that even with these more stringent rules, it seems to be somewhat inconsistent. And that the basically the petition is basically saying that it primarily caters to developmental disabilities, but it excludes people with autism and and cancer, PTSD, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, seizures,
or at least like people who are not like it's kind of now more
invisible.
for it's more for autism and things of that nature that are it's I don't know.
It's like if you have
They've
a
cut
mental decline.
Yeah, they've cut a
Or not
sliver of
decline,
the spectrum. A breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've taken a sliver of it and said that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a petition, right? With how many signatures now?
16,000.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a good amount of people.
That's a lot of people. Now, I'm going to guess most of those people haven't had an experience at Disney. It's more of an online sort of thing. But one person had an experience. Let me see if I can find. I don't know if I put that experience up here. Well, I read one experience. I'll talk about it a little bit since I kind of remember it. And they were I'll find it. I'm gonna mess it up, and then I don't think I can get sued for getting it wrong. But no reason to try to get it wrong. Let's see here. Sorry, everybody. Give me a second here. Let me see if I can find it. What I read was okay. Here we go. This is from travel agent Jamie Satillo. So she was on Instagram talking about it. She said as follows. I no longer qualify for Disney DAS Pass. I have been on pins and needles for the new DAS changes to take effect at Disney World. Unfortunately, she was worried it was going to alienate her, and she said, unfortunately, that's what happened. She said that you must agree to their terms and conditions, as well as ensuring your tickets reservations are confirmed, and everyone will be going with you up to 3 additional to get added to DAS. It also links on the My Disney Experience. Once that's complete, you can request a call. So you got to do all that, request a call, then they call you. She spoke to a woman who she said was very nice while she was applying, and that they explained she explained that she used it for years. She has a heart condition and a defibrillator, and being overheated isn't good for her. She asked questions like the person from Disney asked, well, like, what do you do in the heat on a daily basis? How do you go to the grocery store? Kind of like to get an assessment of how they deal with things. She offered me a wait in queue option where someone in my party would wait in line and then I would meet up with them when it was our time to ride. She also suggested getting a callback time from a cast member. For that, I said, well, isn't that basically what DAS does? She said, overall, yes. With this, though, you can't pre-select your rides. I think that was sort of the big problem, right? Because everyone's like, I want this ride and I want that, and they couldn't really control it. she said she was deemed to not qualify for DAS, and then the intent of the program, she was told, is to support those with autism and similar. Disney's website says, this is her quoting, waiting in line is a regular part of the Walt Disney World resort experience, and that neurodivergent guest should practice waiting with a guest with neurodivergent disability at home or in lines as places they might already frequent to get ready for the trip. That statement is, she says, awful. That is like telling me, hey, practice not getting overheated so your heart behaves so you don't need the DAS pass and can wait in a traditional line. So that was her experience. Dave, I'm going to pass it to you because you had a friend who used it and had a different kind of experience, and then we'll sort of give our overall from there.
Yeah, so a friend of mine, Alex, was in Orlando a couple weeks ago, unexpectedly, I think on business, and decided to pop into the parks. He has a debilitating nerve condition that creates chronic pain, and he cannot stand for more than about 10, 15 minutes at a time. Mm-hmm. And so he went and had not done any of the pre-work, didn't know that things had changed. Stupid. Sorry, my hands.
Dave got excited.
Like that
Dave got excited.
It's okay.
I got excited.
The hands began to fly.
No, it's okay. I need a time to put on my lip gloss.
Hakiba. All right. Go ahead. Continue.
All right. So he did not do any of the pre-work, didn't even know that things had changed, didn't know what to expect, really. He's not a theme park nerd or professional or regular goer. He's a garden variety theme park fan. And he asked me before he got there what to do. And I said, I don't know. Everything's changing. I have no idea. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting with bated breath when you get back. And he had a very positive experience because what they told him was because he isn't necessarily he doesn't fall under the strictest category. But what they said was ask at each ride. Right. Which sounds like a burden. And I said, was it? And he said, no, because everybody I went to understood and asked what my time limit was and would either give me an immediate return slip to come back or in some cases just board me right then and there and put me in the lightning lane but he said, a lot of that is because I was on my own. Right. He was a single passenger in every case. And so it wasn't difficult for the cast member to make that decision for him on the fly, but he did not run into any. I know that there's people saying that relying on each cast member there's going to be a chink in the armor when you get ones that aren't trained. He had an experience where everybody at every ride he went to had a solution. It wasn't always the same solution, but he could ask at every single one. And was not turned away, but was given an option, either told, yes, we can accommodate you this way or this way or this way, or no, come back in like an hour. Right. Mm-hmm. But he said he, on almost every case, got a return time or was walked on. A lot of that had to do with the fact that he was by himself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. First of all, I want to acknowledge that to my knowledge, I don't know your ailments, but to my knowledge, all three of us would not qualify for this, and we cannot.
Oh no, I have it.
Oh, you have it. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So
Not that you have to explain why.
I haven't.
But
no. I mean, I'm like I don't really talk about it as much, but I have an autoimmune disorder where like my connective tissue just like decides to inflame, and then my joints will lock up. So like sometimes my hand will be stuck like this, and I also have like heat issues and a bunch of different things, so I can't stand for long periods of time either. So I've had it for like the last few years with doctor's notes and everything. Every single time they asked like why I would need it, I'd be like, here is the explanation. So
so
I mean, it's been good.
So I will caveat whatever I say is saying it is less informed than Sarah's experience,
as is mine.
Yeah. I want to talk about, first of all, this connects to my Tokyo experience. I was in the middle of Tokyo and I was shocked by multiple factors that I sort of said it dumbly on Twitter, and then I kind of explained it. Basically, I said, we have way too many scooters in parks. Way too many scooters in parks. And what I recognized about that later on was a couple things. Thing one, the reason there are too many scooters in Disney parks is because it's not that there's too many scooters, it's there's not enough space. It kind of feels like Tokyo is the only park that has the widest possible width for every way to go. It felt like there was way more space for scooters. There were people, I did see a couple people in scooters and wheelchairs.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. But it certainly didn't, like, they didn't seem like they were trying to weave around people. I got a little heat for saying it. And I don't disagree that, like, I came off wrong. But then again, I was sort of jet laggy and enthusiastic and trying to figure things out. But when you're talking about disability, you know, there is several factors. There is the factor of what the park infrastructure is, right? So I can look at something like Disney, like Magic Kingdom, and go, we need to the big project is not a new land. The big project is move every building, widen every path. Not for more guests, just for the guests, because they're truly...
Well, like California Adventure is like ADA accessible. Like that's a very ADA accessible park.
Right. Whereas Disneyland, not so much.
Disneyland is not.
No.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So there's that, right? Infrastructure is a main reason, the main problem. But there's also culture. I don't know Japanese culture very well. Being there for 2 weeks does not make me an expert in anything. It does seem like there is less. Someone said to me, we were talking about a trip that we take with students at our university, and they said, "Well, what about my ADA needs? Are they ADA compliant?" And they had to say, remember what the A stands for, the first one in ADA, right? It's American. Yeah. And so I can't necessarily say what Japanese culture is like towards disability and accessibility and, right? There certainly seemed like a less expectation that everyone's got to show up because you have a whole family gathering and 20 people have got to be together because it's the family reunion, so drag grandma along. It didn't feel like that there, right? I think culture is different. So I take all that. This is all the stuff that's buzzing in my head when we see this sort of this DAS stuff happen. And I read stuff kind of like, well, I don't want to stand in line because what if I pass out or have a breakdown or whatever? And my question kind of is, aren't you, for some, right? And I think it's the spectrum, right? I think everyone's got a different thing going on. But I have to go, like, would you not be having that stuff happen elsewhere in the park if you can return back later to the ride, right? I think there's a culture mentality in America, and I want to be very clear, I'm not trying to be ableist here, but just this idea of, hey, I am going to go to a 90-degree weathered day, even though I have, I'm very bad at heat, and I'm going to go to a park that's not made well for cooling and fans and umbrellas, and then I am going to be shocked when I have a problem. And why didn't anyone help me? And I think there is a little this is sticky, and I want to be very clear that I realize how sticky it is what I'm saying. There is a bit of, and I don't even like using this word because it sounds very GOP, but there's some personal responsibility that I think people like to just sort of lob off on the corporation of Disney to say, well, you figure out how you can make it work for me. Whereas that works if you have one person doing it, right? But it doesn't work when you have thousands upon thousands of people coming in a day with everyone needing individual material. And so designers can't operate beyond ADA compliance, which I think is the first step you can do, right? And I think there's other design elements that we're starting to see happen to make things easier and better for different people. And design is a huge element of this, right? Of making things better in that sense. But I feel like everybody that has an issue or gets mad about this or whatever because they're dealing with their own problems, it's hard for them to look a little farther out into the big picture and go, this is 1,000 gears running simultaneously, attempting to create a day where things work at all, right? Much less like personalized experiences for each individual. And so I have no issue with anyone who has any problems or wants any help. Or I think that Disney and all theme parks should and the industry as a whole, and I think they do, constantly attempt to figure out, okay, how can we do this better? How can we be more efficient? How can we figure this out? And I know Japan's different because Japan, Disney Paris, Japan, maybe Hong Kong too, and Shanghai, they're all running the same system for disability, right? And it's like I don't know what it is, but like they got it all figured out. So they're all working on the same system. I mean, East Coast and West Coast are barely working the same right now. Like it's kind of messy. And so I don't know, rant over, I guess, but I feel like there is a minutia here and a middle ground thing where I think when someone is personally having a problem and they say, I'm upset, I want to acknowledge that they're upset and they have a reason to be upset. And that's true, right? The large boat that is a Disney theme park can only turn so fast and make changes so fast. And I just wish there was I feel like I understand that Disney is trying to do the best they can right now and figure it out. And I'm not sure that people or overall are giving them enough credit for still trying to figure this out. I think it's really easy to say I had a bad day because I went on day 2 of this new system. Right. And I don't know. I'm going to be called ableist. God damn it.
No. Okay. As someone that uses DOS and will probably have to fight for the right to use it again, because unfortunately I have an invisible disability where it comes and goes and it is exacerbated by certain stressors, whether it be lots of people, whether it could literally, what could cause a flare up could be a smell of something for me. It's like an allergic reaction sometimes. So having to go up to somebody and having to constantly prove that I have a disability it's not a fun thing.
And I don't,
it's like when we're talking about,
I don't think that's a good call. Dave, I'm glad your friend like had it fairly easy, but I get why people are like, well, I don't want to have the same conversation 20 times a day.
It's not even about it being 20 times. It's 20 different responses, right? Because these are still people.
Yeah,
this is not a computer that is generating a response back to me. It's a regular person who is not a trained physician. It is not someone that, there are so many different types of ailments out there that there is nobody that knows every single one and all of the symptoms to every single one. And what could affect one person, it could look differently to a whole different person. So I understand that. And I'm fine that if it doesn't work for me, that's totally I accept that, because I already, with the system, I don't go in and I'm like, all right, I got 5 rides to hit today. I'm going to do this, this, and that. I'm going to bring in my 6 people. It's usually me by myself. And it's like, if I know, because the way that the DOS or Lightning Lane lines have been, it's been almost as long as a regular line.
Yeah.
You're still waiting like 40 minutes sometimes. So it's like, if I know that I'm going to be waiting more than like 20 minutes, I'm not going to go, even if I do have DOS. It's like an understanding that, like, when you were saying you have personal responsibility because no one knows your body more than you do. And no one knows your limits more than you do. So it's like, if I know that it's a hot day, if I know that it is horrific, I wouldn't even dare. I'm not going. I'm going to just get my little watermelon lemonade, get me a churro, and sit my ass down on Main Street. That's what I'm going to do that day. I'm not going to go risk it in a line. I understand that people are saying, oh, I don't want to have to be in a line and then something might happen to me. But it's like, you're putting yourself at risk.
But also,
that's what you're doing.
Right. And my problem with the line problem is like, I'm seeing this there's kind of a mix. It's like heat is an issue for some people. Claustrophobia is an issue for some people. And I'm like, again, I don't want to be restrooms, of course.
Restrooms is a big
one. That's
which is fair.
Maybe not an easy one to fix, but I think that's one that can be addressed in design and in process. But what's funny to me is they're like, oh man, I can't stand in this line. I'll get claustrophobic. And then they get on Mission Space. I'm like, what are you claustrophobic of?
But again, it's everybody has their own limits, right? So it's like someone might be comfortable in a space and then they might not be comfortable in another space.
Absolutely.
But I think,
absolutely.
Right. And overall, I think what Disney has done is, unfortunately, it's an overcorrection. I think that this could have been a phased approach. I think it could have been done more gently. And instead of having I don't know who these guests are speaking with. I don't know if they're
Right.
speaking with a trained physician or physician's assistant, or if they're talking to a regular guest services cast member. Like, we don't know.
Right.
And I think that's the issue where, like, for example, when I went to Japan and I had used their DOS system, they ask for documentation. It is not
No.
oh, let me,
It's a thing.
I have this, I have that. It is an actual documentation. And I made sure, because I knew that that I can't just, they don't know me. I don't look like them. They can't trust me. You know what I mean? So I had my doctor send over documentation in Japanese.
Whoa!
See, I'm personal responsibility, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing it
Right.
because I want to make sure that I'm getting the accommodation that I need, but doing it in a correct way.
May I ask, because I'm curious, what is that process like once you have all the documentation in? When you go to a ride, what happens? Like, what do you do?
So I literally just went to a ride, talked to a cast member, and I had the exact same script on my phone that I had my, like, the hotel receptionist type out, like, write out for me. And it was just like, hey, this is what I have. And originally in the beginning of the day, the first cast member that I went to, I still remember, was at Pirates, because it's the first ride that you see. And she signed me up. She put me, like, in their device, and they already had my name, so that every single ride that I went to, they knew who I was. I just needed to go in there and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. And they're like, okay, come back in 15 minutes.
Bless up.
That was it.
I can't.
Like,
I want to put.
So it was
just
great.
a side note. I had that app for 5 days open.
Yeah.
And it crashed on me one time. Just so we're very
And
clear.
I have, and like, I am certified. You know what I'm talking about? I went to Disneyland Paris and I got the priority card too. Like,
Right.
it is a process. It's an actual process. And I feel like what's missing that the Disney parks don't have is a real certified process. And I think that's the issue there.
That would work for.
Isn't
Somehow you can have single login for your Disney Plus and your Disney Parks account, but we can't make disability work as well as a. Right, it doesn't make any sense why we can't make that work for all Disney parks. Dave, I'm so sorry. Continue.
What were you saying, Dave?
I mean, like, the bottom line is, it sucks that any of this has to happen because people were abusing the system,
right.
But people were abusing the system.
Right.
So acting
100%.
like that's not the problem is
100%.
not realistic and very naive. Like,
Yeah.
Yes, all of these things exist and all of these people need to have a seat at the table and all of these people need to be part of it, but personal responsibility comes with it and an acknowledgement that some people are bad actors in this.
Right.
1,000%.
And let's say if not a single person used the system improperly, let's say they all were legit, they're still bringing on how many extra people per person? Right. That's just if you're doing at the time it was 4, right? Before the system change.
Right now it's 5.
Right now it's 5. It was 7. I mean, if you can take almost the entire cast of the Waltons with you on a DAS pass scenario, it's too much. It's too much.
Isn't Universal and SeaWorld has some like third party system that is all,
and it works.
And I'm wondering why Disney didn't do that.
I don't know. I think. I just think that this entire thing was it was going to go wrong no matter what. People were going to be upset. People were going to complain. And again, it's like your feelings can be 100% valid. You might feel like you need it. And that's true, but at the same time, the truth is also there where it's like Disney is the one place that accommodates for the amount of ECVs that we see in the entire, I have never seen that many scooters in a space. It doesn't exist anywhere else.
No.
And it's like, if you can take that personal responsibility outside of a theme park, where you can go to a grocery store, you can wait in lines at the pharmacy line, you can do all of these different things. But it's like, if it's just at the theme park that you need this ECV and it's taking up all this space, and it's like, and you don't need it anywhere else, like it doesn't make sense to me personally.
Well, I think an easier explanation of that is what you said earlier, Sarah, about how DCA is fully ADA compliant. So that was built from the ground up so that the queues can accommodate wheelchairs and ECVs, right? So when you have an environment like Walt Disney World, Magic Kingdom, or Disneyland, where some of that's mixed, you have newer attractions, ground-up attractions that may have it and ones that don't. Unfortunately, they've created this guest culture that, well, I shouldn't have to go in the queue. No, it's designed for you.
Right.
No. I had this pass. I should be able to skip everything. It becomes less about accommodating your ability and more that I've gotten a leg up on things.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's the culture,
that's
that
the
it's
expectation.
built. It's built this.
It's a hack.
It's built.
It's seen as a hack.
It's seen as a hack, and it's seen as Disney. While their response is particularly crass and I think kind of ableist when they say part of being a theme park is waiting in line, and maybe you should practice
or practice at home.
That's not. But at the same token, part of that is right. Part of being at a theme park is waiting in line.
But it's a bit harsh to say, to tell someone who's neurodivergent to practice waiting in line. It could have been said in a nicer way, in my opinion.
My thought, and this is coming because I have a friend, a colleague, who has a child who is neurodivergent, who goes to Disney all the time and was asking me questions about, hey, like, how's this work? And like, and is it going to be okay? And I was like, well, I don't know. Damn, I felt like you. It's like, you tell me. But you know, and I'm going to get a report back from her because I'm very, very curious. What I would say though is like, she was very much said like, well, I'll work on what I've got to work on with him to make it, you know, he knows what the queue is. He knows he's done it before. He understands these things, and we have to have conversations about it. So that's where it comes back to personal responsibility and sort of, and maybe
again,
not the
like,
person. If it's a child and a parent, it's the parent's responsibility to sort of have these conversations about like, how good are you at waiting in line? Do you have an understanding that you're going to wait in this line for a while? What kind of switch or other entertainment can I give this child to help them relax as they wait in this line? Like, you know, there are things that can be done.
Totally. And it's like, and if your child is having a bad day and because, you know, there are good days and bad days when you're neurodivergent. If that is the case, then the option should be there.
Yeah.
Like, but I think it's that overcorrection that has just discouraged so many people. And with a global population post-COVID that is just, disability is on the rise. Like, and we know that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just, for the people that really need it, it sucks. Like, to me personally, it freaking sucks to have to like, because I don't want to do any of that stuff.
And the worst answer is just pay for Genie Plus, right? Because that is literally a solution to this. That's why I'm not saying it's a good one.
That's why they didn't sign up with SeaWorld and Universal on the.
That's why they didn't, because they can basically say, well, if you pay the extra $20 to $30, you won't have this issue.
Well, the genius is they don't even have to say it. People will automatically assume it. So it's not Disney's issue.
And maybe the middle ground that we're looking for here is if you do have a documented condition that you have documentation for it that doesn't necessarily fall into the categories of new DAS.
Right.
The middle ground they'll say is, okay, you get, you know, 2 of the people out of your party of 5 get GD Plus for free, or like it's just
like
it sounds so crass and
something.
dumb, but a reduced rate or something is that's a middle ground that they could offer, saying we understand
Japan does that too.
Yeah,
they give you a reduced rate on tickets even when you go into the park, which is so it's like it could have been done in so many different ways, but I know that it needed to happen, and maybe they'll lessen the rules as time goes on, because I'm sure there's going to be exceptions. But it's like, if you don't need it, you don't need it. Figure out a way to live without it. I'm just going to be very honest, because you're ruining it for the people that actually do. Sorry.
Thank you for your thoughts, everybody. I think this is a very touchy subject, and please, if you have thoughts or experiences, let us know. You can email us or tweet at us. Be nice. We are.
There's not one answer to this.
There's not one answer.
There's not.
It's a gray area.
Yeah.
And this is
and you've
a
heard
nuanced
so many
discussion.
different responses. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very
nuanced.
It's my favorite.
It doesn't exist on the internet now.
No,
a lost art.
I'm not sure it ever did, to be completely honest. I'm not sure. I don't remember the forums being very nuanced on GeoCities.
Not the forums.
GeoCities, nice.
Yeah, my bona fides. No, there was no nuance on AIM. Okay.
No nuance on rec.alt.themeparks.
No. No.
So you don't know those the old rec art boards. High five to my olds out there. High five.
Yeah, he's made me feel old. I don't even remember that.
Hey, hey, olds.
I added a little
Usenet. The
Usenet.
Usenet. Did you never use?
I used to, you
never used the Usenet boards.
I would borrow the computer from the Afro lady and the Indian scientist in Spaceship Earth sometimes, and get on the boards. There's an old thing floating around the internet that was like the FAQ for the Haunted Mansion. That was like a curated bunch of facts about it. And I'm actually in it from like the early 90s. And many people have contributed, but I contributed a very tiny little bit, and they used to give people credit, and it was all part of Usenet way back when, where I would get all of my theme park information and porn. Yeah.
So
just slowly, just very little penis,
line by line,
just a little at a time.
Dang.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, you might be too young for that. I remember those days.
Yeah, my shit was loading correctly. It didn't take time to load.
We didn't have time. We didn't have time for video. We didn't have time for 480p. We didn't it was a Jenna,
black and white,
a bad Jenna Jameson photo just slowly making its way.
or just text, or it was just written erotica.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Oh
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, honey. Smut.
You know the girls are getting back into that smut. No,
Smut's hot,
man.
that's coming
Smut's
back. It's coming back. Yeah.
Smut's back again.
Isn't there's a whole like site for ladies that's all written erotica? I forget the name of it. It's
there's
very
an
popular.
app too that like talks you through it. So it's pretty
Really?
cool. A bunch of celebrities come in and they use their voice. I'll send it to you, Dave.
Ooh.
Oh my god! I have a friend who actually records for that stuff. Who does spoken word erotica, and he's got this beautiful baritone voice, and he records them for both boys and girls. It's
very nice.
It's quite lucrative for him.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Amazing.
Speaking of things that are for boys and girls,
the same for
Sarah,
me. Maybe for y'all.
Sarah, we've got a real hottie now hanging out at Disneyland. What do we got
the
here?
body could be right, but the face could not. Okay, nothing can tell. Jar Jar Binks. There's a new Jar Jar Binks wooden figure available at Galaxy's Edge, and for some reason, he looks like
he's
buff.
fucking ripped.
Like, he looks.
This dude is shredded.
He's so ripped.
He's so shredded.
Like,
He's
it's
shredded.
so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember him being shredded like that in the movie.
He's making me feel things. He's so shredded. He'll hold me nice.
Not shredded.
Misa going to a gun show.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks real good, but again, the face cannot be fake. So
No, this is a real butterface, sadly. It's no good.
Hey, any justice for Ahmed Best is a good justice. So
Yeah. I mean, this is the sexiest a token cliche in a fairly bad movie has ever looked. So to the point where I felt we had to talk about it.
The prequel kids are going to come for you.
Fuck that movie. It sucks. Let me tell you something.
I don't get the hype
Let me tell you
around
something
him.
about
I've seen
episode
that.
1. Let me tell you something. Got re-released and everyone's like, "Ooh, I'm going to go see episode 1." And I was like, "Can I see the 10-minute cut, which is the pod race and then the lightsaber fight? Like, can I just in and out?"
That's all you need.
Stupid. Look, and hey, assholes coming for me. Let me tell you something about episode 1. Let me tell you something. Who dug into the trash cans to find Sebulba Pepsi cans and get the whole set of Star Wars Episode 1 Pepsi cans? This guy right here, okay? I am that generation. I had a Time for Kids with Jake Lloyd's fucking face on it that was like, the Star Wars is back.
What's a Time for Kids?
Yeah, man. It was a publication. It was a magazine.
Okay.
Sarah, magazines were a thing. It was like it was like a website.
That was a little before my time.
Internet,
but like in a book.
It's like
but like books.
It's like a tablet, but you couldn't zoom in with your fingers.
Right, Sarah.
You know?
Oh, that
Sarah,
sucks.
books were like how do I put it? Like if you took a digital file, you know how there's like pages. If you like put those in a binded thing, that's a book.
But it's not. But is it? But is it vertical? Like how when I'm looking at a PDF, is it vertical?
We call that a scroll. It's a different thing. But many of those were kept by scholars after Rome fell.
So are the books held by scholars too? Because I haven't seen one in a minute.
Well, yeah. As you can tell, as a man,
pardon me.
I am a scholar. I have lots of books on my shelves.
As a professor,
and also
pardon me while I go walk myself into the ocean.
Yeah.
Is it like a Kindle? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm going too far.
Like
we
a
have
Kindle,
books, y'all. I read. I got 2 degrees. Don't play
like
with
a Kindle
me.
Jenner. Like what's a Kindle? All right. Okay. So anyway, we wanted some levity. I saw that Rip Jar Jar, and I had to talk about it. Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, Dave's
cute.
like, Happy Pride. So
Happy Pride, y'all.
He's a queen.
I mean, he was supposed to come out in May, and he came out in June.
Jar Jar's a himbo.
He came out. Came out in June.
Definitely.
Well, he's a himbo now.
He came out in June.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that. There's like, hey, you remember Jar Jar Binks from episode 1? You won't believe what he looks like now. Like that's what. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
gun show.
Him and Jonathan Lipnicki both just shredded now. True fact about child star Jonathan Lipnicki. He is ripped.
He's ripped now?
Yes, he's ripped now. But he still has like eyes that need those glasses kind of, and you're like, it's like you ever see a child actor and you're like they're an adult, but you still see the child actor in them a little bit. It's a real hook moment.
I'm looking at him. I'm looking at him now. Holy.
Yeah.
He's stacked.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't kidding. I'm not talking like a little. I'm talking like my man took some protein shakes. Like
he
took a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my, you could
show me the money. More like
that's not even my
show me the money. Show me the money is what Jonathan Lipnicki
That's not even my type, but I'm like, oh, hello.
He's
Happy Pride.
Forever a child.
Happy Pride.
Forever a child.
Happy Pride.
My age, probably. All right. Anyway, we are spinning in circles. Let's go over to Universal Studios. Happy 25th anniversary, Islands of Adventure. You weird park.
I like it.
Dave?
And actually, by the time this airs, also an anniversary for the studio park on June 7th. So they're both within like, couple of weeks of each other. Anyway, but yes, 25th anniversary, Islands of Adventure. I was there when it opened. I was there before it opened, actually. And the day that was hitting the internet and everybody was wishing it happy birthday, I'm like, God, what? I must have a picture. I have a picture of myself like in pre-opening or something. And then a light bulb went off in my head. And I thought, wait a minute. I have a tape. And I have a very specific tape that I remember very well shooting that's been squirreled away in a shoebox in my closet. And so I pulled out the tape. It's a DV tape, digital video tape. I pulled out my little digital video camcorder, hooked it up with 5 million dongles to my new laptop because those connections don't work anymore. No, Firewire? What's that?
Oh my God.
So I found dongles I found it, made it work. There's a Best Buy across the street.
You just straight up Tim Gunned it. Just made it work.
I totally did. And it is a 40-minute golf cart tour through Islands of Adventure when a lot of it is still dirt. And the buildings are vertical and stuff's going in, but it's not done. It's about 6 months before opening, which is wild when you look at it because it looks like a lot farther on, a lot farther back than that. I got hired by Universal to work on Men in Black in February of 98, technically like November of 97. And February 98, I started going back and forth to Florida. October of 98, I moved there. And one of the first things I did when I moved was I met up with some of the team at Islands. And I'm like, hey, I'm working next door. And I was given a golf cart tour by Dale Mason, who's the executive VP of design, creative director of executive art director, of IOA, and continues to be one of the superstars there, one of their secret weapons, very talented guy. He gave me and 2 of our art directors for Men in Black a full tour to show us kind of, because remember the studio park was their only other park. They didn't have any of the other international parks. I had worked for like 5 minutes on some islands concepts back in Landmark like 3 years earlier, but nothing that actually got built. And so I knew what was in the park kind of, but we didn't have internet. We didn't have Bayou Reconstruct. We didn't have Alicia Stella. Nobody knew what any of this stuff was. And I had seen little bits and pieces of it on my onboarding and getting hired. And I knew through the industry what was happening there, but I had no idea. And they gave us this golf cart tour, and it was jaw dropping. Because that place was absolutely industry changing. This is pre-Potter was industry changing. And so that tape has been sitting in my closet for 25 years of 45 minutes of absolute gold, driving around that park unfinished. And I was like, should I post this? I should post this. It's been 25 years. Right. There's something proprietary in there. No. There is some stuff that I actually cut out that we were talking about that was not, that I didn't want
some shop
to
talk,
make out there.
Some shop talk.
Some shop talk. If y'all can get me drunk in person, and I'll tell you about it later. But it's a fun little thing. You can go to my YouTube. I'm assuming we'll probably show bits of it here, but if you want, you can watch the whole thing. About 40 minutes of DV splendor in beautiful 480p 4:3 aspect ratio. And it's on my YouTube channel, which is just at Dave Cobb.
Sarah,
it's such a great
have
video.
you ever been to Islands of Adventure?
Yeah, I've gone there like twice. Okay. Yeah, it's a really cool park. I honestly love it.
Yeah,
so.
Do you
not like it?
No. I want to be very clear. I think it's a very, very beautiful park, and I love aspects of it. It's a little too wet. It's a wet park. Like, if you don't want to get wet,
I get what you mean.
You're like,
yeah.
There's like
a lot of water rides.
There's a lot of water rides. And it
splashes onto like the roads. Like
Popeyes, which is a drencher, Dully Do Right, Jurassic, if you really want to count it, which I think you could. I mean, that's 3, and those are big rides, you know.
Like I said, they splash onto the walkways.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with any of it. I always feel like I like those 3 rides a lot, and the problem I've always had is like I have to have a day where I'm like, okay, like we went and we would just change into like full on. Basically wetsuits. Just like,
did you never use the blow dryers, like the blow drying pods? I went in there.
Pods ain't
in Orlando.
But I remember when I went, it was raining. It was raining It was raining all fucking day, and I was just like, I wasn't even getting wet from the rides. I was literally getting wet from the rain, and so I just went in there, paid the $5, and I just stood in it, and I was dry after 5 minutes.
I will absolutely agree that I am not a fan of water rides in parks because, by and large, they always get me too wet, and the ones at Iowa are particularly egregious.
Popeye is a murder ride.
It's like Popeyes is crazy.
It's like jumping in a pool with your clothes on. Yeah. Like, it is not fun for the rest of the day. So I'm with you. Right. Like, I don't necessarily love water rides, but
it's a beautiful park.
And it helped establish. The thing about that park is it really established what Universal's vibe was that we all sort of take for granted, which is we ain't Disney, right? This ain't Disney. Everything's going to spit on you or burn you or flip you upside down. And they said, they had that to a certain extent at the studio parks before that. But remember, the studio park up until this point had been kind of limping along and had a couple of hits with things like Twister going in to replace some older rides. But those rides had been there for, at that point, 8 years or 9 years with nothing new other than Twister and T2.
Right. I mean, that was your job. Like, that's why they brought you in.
Yeah, Twister and T2. Wait. So Rip Ride Rocket was not in. That came later. So it was Twister and T2 were about it was really.
Yeah, I mean, things were still very much like behind the scenes. I mean, sound was there, and
you had changes in things like the Murder She Wrote show became the Herconzina show, which I loved.
Yeah. But still, it was all very educational, and for the most part. And Islands was like, nah, let's have fun. Like,
let's have fun, and let's get you wet and burn you alive, and do all those fun things. So, but it really did establish that. It was the beginning. It was the first salvo in the Orlando theme park arms race. really. I mean, it's easy to say that Universal Studios was, and it kind of was, but I don't think Disney perceived Universal as competition until iOS showed up, and that a lot of that has to do with the fact that they poached a lot of former Imagineers to work on it. But it's go ahead.
No, so I was going to ask. So after this, the park was open 6 months after this video.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So which is insane because it's like so much of it just still seems like it had so much work to do, and how quickly they got it to open. I think just speaks to a testament of how fast they're working with even Epic right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's quick work.
It was 6 months of assholes and elbows, basically. Like, it was crazy watching that thing finish.
Well, and the funny thing about theme parks people always take for granted is they're like, how in the world did they get this whole thing done? And then you're like, well, only one wall has got to look like it's in a market, right? Like the other four are like held up with duct tape. Like that's truly like that's kind of how it is. This is like,
Yeah.
So.
It was,
but just from this video, it's just so much. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, I was going to say it was great being there during that time and when it opened, and we were sort of the little stepbrother in across the way, making our little puppet show and watching and being there when this thing was opening, and the talent behind it is there's superstars that went on from that project, and there were superstars from Disney and Universal before that worked on it. And my boss at the time, Phil Hedema, who was a superstar in the industry, the Lifetime Achievement Award winner, that was a big testament was the talent pool that he helped pull together for that place. That was a game changing park in a lot of ways, and we're seeing it again with Epic, but we're getting to see it pretty much every day. Thanks, Spire Reconstruct and Alicia Stella. Right. And whereas that wasn't, there was no place, even if you were someone like that, like I used to go to Anaheim City Hall, and that's how I got my Haunted Mansion blueprint when I was in high school, because I found it. You can go and get a base. You can pay your $10 and get a base plan. Nowadays, they're wise to it, and if you go try to get a base plan, the entire ride is blacked out except for like the emergency exits, because that's all they need to submit for code, right? I know, but like even if you did go do those things back then, and there were people who did it and like sold that stuff at like Disneyana conventions, but there wasn't an internet to broadcast it to, not what we know now. Yeah. So it's that is the last we'll ever see. That and Animal Kingdom are kind of the last American and DCA are the last big big Disney Universal projects that don't have some sort of internet hype behind them being put up. So it was a fun time. It was really great.
Well, I have a quick question, Dave. Do you feel like because there is more internet hype that the people who are working on these rides feel a bit more pressure, and they sometimes like listen to what the fans are saying on the internet? Or
nope,
you don't feel like that happens? Okay,
no,
cool.
Don't even fans that think that happens. You're deluding yourself.
Yeah.
Because the development time for this stuff takes a long time. So that's not saying that they don't look at what fandom is and they don't look at what people want. Yes, they do. They do extensive exit polling. But the people that are internet pundits who are not designers are not the audience for these things by and large. I hate to burst your bubble, but there's a bigger audience out there of the people that they are doing exit polls, which are families and families with money, and in each location has a slightly different demographic. Like Japan is mostly like 20-something office girls, basically. That is what drives the development of that park. It really does. Like the exit polls prove it, and the spending proves it. So I don't mean that to be derisive of fandom and people who like talking about this stuff. It's just, the turnaround is not like, Disney changing direction entirely on Rise of Skywalker because fans were vocal and hated the previous one. And even that I would suspect, was it really because the fans didn't like it, or they just are hedging their bets and trying to be safer? I think more the latter, with something
for
like
that one. It was not having a plan at all for some reason.
that was the bigger problem, right? So the fanboy blather that happened at after Last Jedi, which I loved, by the way. I thought Last Jedi was incredible, and I would have loved to seen that sort of vision continued. But they didn't have a plan. This was not a course correct. Rise of Skywalker was not necessarily a course correction because of fans. It was because they didn't really have a plan, and the script got leaked, and so they're like, oh, we got to do something else. Anyway. I'm making the wrong analogy. It's just that in theme parks, this stuff has a lot more at stake. There's much higher risk because it's permanent. You can't re-edit. You can't do reshoots. It's not the same kind of fandom. And so, no, I don't think they are scared of the kind of things they're hearing.
Well, it's sort of like if you hear it, it's too late.
Right.
That's true.
Generally, unless it's, Alicia or somebody who's like giving permits out. But beyond that sort of minor detail, yeah.
And like we said about Tiana's, like you can rant and rave about what you think the experience is before you go on it all you want. But it isn't until you actually go on it. Yeah. And the proof in the pudding is not that vocal fan. It's the much larger percentage of average fans who don't go to the parks every week, who maybe go once or twice a year. I'm sorry, those are the opinions that matter. And if they don't like a ride, they'll say so, and then they'll get the exit polls for it, and they will tweak things. Like there's stuff that's tweaked all the time, later on or taken out. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So, but I think Epic is probably unique in that it had a long gestation process, dating back to like that plot of land had been looked at a couple of different ways. So this is nothing, even the actual development of this park, which dates back to about 2016, I think 17, maybe a little more, 14, had a lot more pre-work done before that. And so, the evolution of what IP they used and what kind of ride systems they want, and all of that is a really long process. So I don't think they're quaking in their boots at all about how the fans are going to respond, because I think that overall guest response is going to be through the roof,
Yeah,
for sure.
So happy 25th anniversary, Islands of Adventure. We love you very much.
It's funny. That video came out or was filmed like a month before I was born. So,
pardon me while I go walk into the sea.
How much more going into the sea?
I'm a November 1998 baby.
Oh,
wait, did you say 98?
Well, I have 98.
Yeah.
I have socks on.
Let me go walk into the sea.
What do you mean?
I'm 87.
I'm gonna pardon me while I turn to dust and blow away. That's the year I graduated high school, Nathan.
Dust. 87.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, let's move on to another park that has opened for soft opening. And your boy got to go check it out. Let's talk a little bit about Tokyo DisneySea and Fantasy Springs. So, I guess I should start with what happened, which was so Katie and I decided one day that we were going to have a day away from each other, because after about a week of hanging out with your significant other and walking through a foreign land, you go, I could use a break. And that's how you stay married. And so, basically she had stuff she wanted to do and I had stuff I wanted to do, and neither of us wanted to do the other person's stuff. So it just made sense. So I was at Toho Studios, where they made Godzilla, and by being there, I mean I was at the front gate. They have a beautiful mural and a Godzilla statue, and that's as far as you can go. But it was my day, right? I could do whatever. And Victoria texts me and says, "Hey, they they just soft opened Fantasy Springs," and I was like, "Whoa!" And then I was like, "I'm in Tokyo." and tickets are $50. Like, what am I doing? And I had been so small and so conscientious of my presence and be like, I'm an American. I gotta be smaller, and I want to. And immediately I was just like, everyone get out of my way! Like just throwing the shoulders and like I'm rushing to the metro. An hour and a half later, I am in DisneySea, and through the gate, and immediately getting myself, okay, is there any standby left whatsoever? And this is a pretty emotional moment because I've never been to DisneySea. Excuse me, I'm not crying now. I just had a hiccup. I've never been to DisneySea. I was never expecting to go to Fantasy Springs. I'm not with Katie because I said, "Do you want to come?" And she's like, "No, I'm at a coffee shop. I'm thrilled. I'm happy. I'm shopping for fabric. Like, go. I don't." And I was like, "Oh, you're so normal. Don't be like me." Very smart. And so I'm in like jeans, which is normal there, but like, nah, too hot for that. I like had no sunscreen, no hat. I got a bit burned that day, but I was just going. I was just like, here we go. So I'm in the parks and just passing like the volcano, and like I'm just like, I'll get back to you. And I get and I still don't know if it's open, right? Because I learned the second time we went and it was soft open that the app will basically tell you, because you can go to the standby area and it'll say like, here's the rides that are for standby. And those are the only rides that are for standby because they treat that as a separate thing. So the way they do it, I guess you could call it sort of like a virtual queue, but it's just open when the park opens, and you can get tickets like you would normally. You can't just have one, like you get one at a time. So, but that kind of works its way out because once you wait 2 hours, like, are there really going to be enough left over? Like, I don't know. And especially because I was there at like noon, right? So I'd already lost 3 hours of the day, but I got Peter Pan. So I thought what we would do is I would just kind of go through some soft. Oh, and if you have any questions, please let me know. I would sort of give some general thoughts, and then we'll just kind of go land by land, food by food a little bit. Cause I kind of did it all in 2 days. I would say it's Fantasy Springs. Some people are saying, oh, it doesn't match DisneySea at all. It doesn't make any sense. It very much does. It's off in its own corner. It kind of connects to Lost River Delta. And the concept of water still plays in the land very heavily, right? From the get-go, you enter and there's these beautiful, the statue kind of in rock of our main Peter Pan on the left, and then Anna and Elsa and Tangled, right? So all that's in play. And then you go in, and it is, the easiest way I can explain it is Magic Kingdom Fantasyland 2.0 walked so this could run. Like, it's that same sort of micro lands inside of a larger land. Sort of, I would say there's basically four. There's Peter Pan, and then there's Tangled and Frozen, and then there's what I was kind of called the Springs, the hotel area, which is very, very pretty. And there's lots to see. And all of it feels very cohesive. Give it to DisneySea. Somehow they just said, hey, we would like to also have the best Fantasyland. And they went ahead and did it. So it's really, really incredible. And let's start with Peter Pan's Neverland Adventure, that area and that land, that ride. It's my favorite part of that land. But I also think Peter Pan's my favorite of the three IPs there. And it's a beautiful ship. The whole ship is there, and there's the rock skull, and there's these intricate details, like in the movie where Hook like slashes to get Pan and with his sword and hits the pole, and then on the other side he uses his hook and jabs it. That slash mark and that hole mark are in the mast, like it's all there. You can hear though they're in Japanese, you can hear the pirates inside of the ship underneath you grumbling and figuring things out. And they're just a bunch of photo ops on that ship. You can sit down and put your hand inside of a hook capsule thing and have kind of a GUR looking at the map photo, and you can do it behind the wheel of the ship, and it's really, really pretty. They have some forced perspective mountains, and it was just really, really charming. I really liked that area. And it was funny when I was there, so I was getting a lot of photos that first day because I was by myself, but I needed someone to take photos of me, right? And everyone was so nice the whole trip. Everyone would take photos. But oh man, did Japanese teenage girls love when I hammed it up for a photo, like just the whole time. Cause I'd put on a pirate snarl or whatever for my pirate picture, and they just thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Which was great.
They were such cute pictures.
Yeah.
Though. Like they looked professional. They were really good.
And I mean, look, if you want a professional photo, like don't pick the 50-year-old, pick the teenager. They're going to get you. They know what's up. So Peter Pan's Neverland Adventure, I'm sure you've probably seen it at this point if you haven't already. I'm not going to put any videos or anything. I don't want to spoil anything if you don't want to see it in the video portion here, but it's basically Spider-Man is the best way to put it. That was, I would say, of the rides, I feel like that one was the most that was down of the three. There was some intricate details, I think, with that, but it was the best 3D I've seen. The very, very crisp screen projection, and it's really, really charming. I like it. It really, it overall really works, I would say. The only quibble I would have is there are moments where they sort of have an expansive screen and you're flying, but it really doesn't take much. You can kind of just look up a hair. It's not as bad. Excuse me. Something I said on Twitter was it's not Ratatouille in the sense that you're like, well, there's the screen, like edge, I can see it. But there's just moments where you're kind of like, I can kind of see where this ends. And I think the reason for that is, it takes place in the daylight. Spider-Man is the most pristine of these. And when does it take place? Night, right? And you get away with so much more when it's at night, because the darkness just is the darkness. So I feel like they could have fixed it with just a little more kind of going over the top bowing of a screen, just a little higher. But they do these great, amazing transitions between screens and physical concepts and these little stuff that they do, and it's just really charming. Strip out every Peter Pan ride here in America and get rid of them and put these in, and that sounds really like, oh, how dare you. Look, Peter Pan is it's at least at Magic Kingdom it's a 90-minute wait for a 3-minute ride at best. It's so short, and the wait does not match. So I don't know.
The one if they replaced them all with the one in Shanghai, I would be happy because that's like the same idea but done way better and higher capacity.
Right,
basically
100%.
But I hear you. Oh, it's like they figured it out.
Charming.
They figured out how to do the lowest capacity, shortest ride into one that actually is a people eater and is a spectacle and is the same beats and same things you want, but really beautiful, really well done. It's my favorite version of Pan.
You speak so highly of Shanghai like all the time, and it makes me want to go like so badly to that park in particular.
It's a great park. Yeah. It's really great.
It's really pretty. It looks really pretty. So yeah, that's what I would say though. Like I was charmed like hell. Okay, roast beef popcorn.
The popcorn. What's going on with the popcorn?
I didn't finish it. I didn't throw it away, but I thought I'll get back to it, and I put it in my backpack, and then I didn't finish it because it's neither savory or sweet enough. It can't really make its mind. And so you go, savory, and there's like a little sweet in the back, and then you're like, I desperately wanted to try it. I was glad that I did. I think that maybe some people will be gaga for it. I'm not a savory popcorn guy to begin with necessarily. I don't know. I like cheddar, but
Did you try any of the other popcorn flavors in the park, or just the roast beef?
Yeah. Katie and I.
What was your favorite?
Went to town on popcorn. Corn compote, basically corn chowder.
Oh,
yeah, which
like sweet
sweet corn. Yeah, it's weird to say that
Cream
corn. Yeah, it's hard to say. Like I don't like savory, and then I'm like corn was my favorite. Corn's not savory. It's sort of like a sweet thing anyway.
But
yeah,
my favorite soy sauce.
Soy sauce is
black
good.
pepper, the black pepper one, strawberry, and the poo honey.
Honey was great.
I
loved honey. I think
I really liked the matcha and cream one that I tried. That one was really good.
That was good. Yeah, that was good.
That one's good, and the soy one's good too.
And of course, we will have a large dissertation on popcorn when we have our big Tokyo app. Roast beef. Mm-hmm. I want you to try it, Zara. I want to know what you think.
I'll try.
I think it's worth a try. Like, I didn't buy a popcorn bucket that day. I was just trying to figure out what the hell was going on. I was just suddenly in DisneySea. I was like, where am I? How did I do this? So
crazy.
I was just happy to have it. I was thrilled though. I was such a happy little boy that day. The luckiest boy in the whole wide world.
You really are.
I went to Lookout Cookout. Lookout Cookout is charming. Very, 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 very charming. Lookout Cookout is their like little Neverland area eatery, and it's like where the Lost Boys hang out, and they have all of their like outfits hung up to dry in the area, like in the where you order your food. Everything was like mobile order this time around, which was great because then you just show it and you would go in and grab it. This was the weirdest little thing, but I loved it. It's this Lost Kids snack box. And I thought it was interesting that they do call it Lost Kids. They're not using the term Lost Boys, which is interesting. So this Lookout Cookout, it all comes in like this little box thing. And if you break it up, because I, of course, was like, I'm keeping this. So I separated it out, and it turns into a map. You really can split it up, and if I had it near me, I would bring it.
It's cute.
It's somewhere in my stuff. I don't know where it is.
But did you try both like versions of the chicken, or did you try one?
Girl, I'm by myself. I ain't no like blog Mickey. I out here reviewing everything.
Shoot, I would have been eating everything.
Girl, I'm eating rice and beans for like 2 months. I spent too much money in Tokyo.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Already.
Good thing the yen was shitty.
So I had the butter curry chicken, and it was really cute. So this little like snack pack, it is curry chicken, and then it is seaweed fritters, these little like pink seaweed fritters, banana chips, shrimp chips, and like a bread. It's like hella charming. It's like something you would give a kid. Like it's so fun and small. And it was really cute. I was really happy with it. Now I don't know if this was what I was eating by itself. I got the brownie too, because I'm a sucker for a brownie, and I got the pixie dust soda, which kind of tasted like kiwi. I'm not sure this would be a lunch. It worked for what I was up to, because I also had roast beef popcorn though. So I think it's a good option. I thought it was really charming. I liked the place. It was really cute. Okay. So that was day one. And during that whole time, I rode Indy a lot, because basically I had a kind of a thing with Katie which was like, okay, I'm going to ride 20,000 Leagues because it's like a 10-minute wait all the time. And I'm going to ride Indy a bunch because Indy's not original from here. And then I'll do all the big stuff with you when we go together. She was like, cool. So that was day one for me. I spent most of the time in Fantasy Springs because I didn't know if it would open again. And then I kind of puttered about. And was shocked that I was at DisneySea. So we come back for the first day as a couple. This is like 4 or 5 days later. 3 or 4. And we go in, and I immediately look at the standby, and it's open. And we could tell it was open because before somebody was saying something in Japanese to everybody, like, da, 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 and everyone went, yay! And I was like, I think it's open. I think it's open. And so we immediately got frozen. And we just walked our asses back, and we rode at about, oh my gosh, I think we were only there like 10-15 minutes. We basically walked onto Frozen. Anna and Elsa's Frozen Journey. It is, for those who haven't seen it yet, it's a buffed up version of the one that's at Epcot, and by buffed up I mean like
better faces.
everything. I mean, it's like
better
it's not just they got the full Avengers buff up. They did the full movie star workout.
That scene where Anna gets frozen, I can't comprehend. Like, it's so insane.
I mean, it's not.
So good.
I mean, I can tell. This is what I told Katie. I was like, I could tell you how they do it, and she's like, "Don't." So that's.
I know how they do it, but to see it, I think that's the thing. It's like we know how the Beast gets turned into the Prince, like we all know, but just seeing it in person, I'm sure is just
we could
crazy.
talk about that too because we did Beauty and the Beast twice. That's the only thing I paid for, so I had another opportunity because that was Katie's like big thing. That's like a magic trick. I'm gobsmacked by that transition, and I know I've literally watched video. I've seen it from behind, and I'm still like, I don't know how you do this. Like, it's insane. Anyway, this Frozen ride it's the best storybook Disney ride that's ever been made. It's not even really a question. It is beyond the end bit where they sort of have to get through. Bad guy holds up sword to Anna and she gets frozen, right? They kind of do that through a pastiche of like little clips as you're kind of going backwards. Beyond that, they hit every single beat. There's so many animatronics in it. There's so many working parts. They're utilizing sound design in a way like, when you ride like the Frozen ride in Epcot and you can kind of feel like the audio shift, like you can kind of feel the cuts.
Right.
It felt seamless. It just felt like one. You could hear kind of the orchestration sort of shift into the next bit, as if it knows where you're at in the ride. Like it felt more in that sense audibly like Dinosaur or Indie than it does like a traditional float down a thing, right? It does not, in no way does it feel like a repeat cycle. Like you never see a repeat of anything. It is timed out to the,
it's a triggered show.
100%. 100%. And it feels like that. Now Epcot Frozen is technically triggered too, sort of, especially the big sort of let it go scene. But the rest of it, you can kind of, besides a few bits, you can kind of feel. And we'll talk about Tangled in a minute. But you can kind of tell that's dealing in that other thing. But yeah, I don't even really like Frozen, but it was a beautiful queue and it was a beautiful ride. And you just sit there and you're like, wow, like, man, you can feel the money. I love when you can feel the money. I haven't felt that since Rise when I'm like, I can feel the money on this one. And it truly does sort of feel like that. Okay, we did it. We made the boat ride that sort of lays everything out. It's a long ride. I'm not sure. I need to time it online, but it did not feel short. It was a very thorough explanation of the film. And yeah, man, they do all these cool tricks. Like Elsa does that thing where she creates the bridge, the ice bridge, to her thing. And it's a simple trick, right? It's just expanding an ice bridge, over top of a black concept. But like, you get it, you see it, and you're like, yeah, I get it. It's awesome, right? Like it just all works. Cool. Yeah. And they made like Duke of Weaselton, like he's an animatronic, like Tokyo spending Weaselton money. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. We ate at Royal Banquet of Arendelle. It was really, really cute. It is the most expensive counter service in, I think, all of Tokyo Disney. But even then, it was like, I'm trying to remember what the price was. I stopped looking at prices, which is easy when you're like, the yen's cheap. Yeah. It was 340 yen. No. That's the upgrades. It was 3,500 for the royal beef set, which, to give you all an idea in American dollars, that is about $23, which is nothing. I mean, again, the yen is really weak right now. But you got like a beef like a beef pasty sort of thing, and a salad, and this little dessert, and they bring it out on this.
It looks like a big
It's
meal.
huge. Yeah, I was stuffed. It comes with a bun to eat with it, and like it was really charming. Now that's it. You have that. There's like 2 options, and then there's a seafood option, I think, too, and then a kids meal. There's not like a ton of options. It wasn't my favorite meal I ate at Fantasy Springs. We're going to get to that. But it was really, really charming. And I really, really liked it. So I like this concept of how do I put it? Katie has an almond allergy, and they were very good at like Magellan's of being like, okay, here's what you can't eat. Right. Or here's what we can do. Yeah. Like we can switch desserts or whatever. They're not doing any of that there. You just have to sort of be careful. But it very much is like, nope, this is what you get. Right. And I think it really works out well because the quality was there. I really enjoyed it. I feel like I'm talking too much, but then again, I'm the sole reviewer of an entire new land.
You're the expert.
Let's go ahead and move over to Rapunzel's Lantern Festival. These all have weird names. It's like Anna and Elsa's Frozen Journey. Like it's Frozen Ride. It's, Tangled Ride. Rapunzel's Lantern Festival. This is my biggest disappointment. This ride is super short. Super short.
Like Navi River Adventure.
Yeah. To the point where I heard someone say that at one point it was going to be a walkthrough, and I believe it. It is, again, we got passes. That's the only way you can get on, but I could not fathom waiting like an hour for this ride. It is really cool in the sense that you can see the tower, the back of the tower from anywhere in the park, in the land. And then if you are inside of the queue and then on the ride, you see an animatronic of Rapunzel out, kind of leaning out of the window and singing. It's charming. So it's really cute. Majority of these figures are very, very static. Beyond that one, which I think that one, and then, they're on the boat for the Lantern Festival, which is sort of the big thing. Everything else is pretty stiff. It really does sort of feel like, okay, we're whatever is left over from the Frozen budget. And it's beautiful. I'm not saying it looks cheap. I'm just saying there's not a lot going on. It's charming. They have Pascal doing little cute things. I don't hate it at all. It's just massively short. And the Lantern Festival, the lantern scene is incredible. That's what everyone's going there for in the first place. But like they skip like the Snuggly Duckling like scene. It is like little Golden Books style short version of the story. Like it is.
Wow.
Wow. To the point where,
and I'm guessing the wait was like,
well,
crazy.
The thing is, I can't guarantee any of that because we were on standby. So you just got to stand by, and then they were like, okay, you can come back in an hour or whatever.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So let's see here. Last but not least, Snuggly Duckling. This is where, Dave, all the gays are going to go.
Is this the bear bar?
You can watch the movie and it's the bear bar, but it continues. Like,
completely.
Rapunzel has added beautiful murals inside of it. And so there's all these axes in the wall and then also beautiful murals. So like literally rainbows and like manly stuff. It's great. Best meal I had there. I know people hate this meal. Some people really don't like it. I
don't know why, because the burgers in Japan were good. Like that's fire.
Interesting.
So good. The meat
quality is very good. So I had the Duckling Dream. I don't know if I got the cheeseburger. I think I just got the Dream Burger set, which was $14.40. This burger is literally a burger with some slaw and a tomato and a burger and the biggest fucking piece of ham you have ever seen in your life. And boy, is it good. I just liked it. I was also tired. It was the end of the day, but it was really, really good. And it was sloppy and messy. And that's kind of what I liked about it. There was a magical milk tea. The milk tea was good. It was all really charming. And At that point, I was so stuffed with stuff. I wanted to. I had gotten a reservation for that in Arendelle. You had to get reservations, and I was able to lock those in. The only food I didn't really try. I mean, I didn't try everything at every restaurant, but the only place I didn't go was the OK food, the Oaken's OK food area, which is just like a counter service. Yeah. It's like one item. I didn't really find a time. So there you go. That's Fantasy Springs. It's great. It's great. There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing I didn't talk about was there's also a beautiful gift shop area that's connected to kind of the hotel area. You can't go into the hotel, but it's connected to the hotel. It's the best way to kind of explain it. And in part of the Springs area with all the beautiful figures and stuff. The only shitty part is that like I picked up a thing and they were like, no. They had the only time this happened the entire time was in Japan. The sign was only in Japanese. They didn't have an English translation. And it was like, these things are not available. You can just like buy the other stuff that's in the store. But like the Fantasy Spring stuff, you can't buy until like we officially open in June, which sucked because I wanted to have it real bad. I literally picked it up.
We got you.
I know. Yay. I
hate that you're all going before I am. Like, I don't have the cushy job. I don't have the cushy job that sends me on boondoggles to new theme parks all the time now. God damn it.
Oh,
these are the choices you've made.
Thanks, COVID.
So they, what I would say, what was funny though is I was walking around later that day, the first day that was happening on the first day, and they're like, "No, you can't have a hat." And I saw a couple people in a hat, and I was like, "How did they get a hat?" And I was like, "What?" Like, now there's possible that like other people can kind of go in, and there's like celebrities. Like the second day we were there was these massive comedians that like are huge in Japan and like did voices for Secret Life of Pets. I found out later, like the Japanese dub, and everyone's like, "Ah!" And I'm like, I don't know who they are, but I'll take a photo and someone's going to explain it and it'll be really cool. And then I watched some of their stuff with subtitles and I was like, yeah, these guys are talented. This is fun. They were sort of like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an American equivalent, kind of like the Hugh Laurie, Stephen Fry, or the, a buddy team.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. The second time we went back to the shop, so I could show Katie the shop, all the hats were gone. And I mean, they changed them out. They put something else there. I think people were stealing the hats. I think some people stole the hats and they were...
You think they were stealing Japan?
Not in Japan.
I don't know.
I don't know. Nathan. Maybe it was some Americans that were there
All I gotta
too.
say is there were hats you weren't supposed to buy. I saw people in those hats, and then those hats were no longer on the shelf to even be looked at.
You know what? I could see why you got to that conclusion, but I don't know.
No, I bet you they gave them away to influencers and press and stuff.
My guess is though they got tired of telling people no about the hats because everybody was picking up the hats and
so they took them down. Right, right.
Because the hats are so cute. Like who wouldn't want those hats?
For sure.
I want one. I want all of them.
I'll get you one, Dave. I'll get you one.
So there you go.
Who do you think I should have? Should I have the little bear? Should I have the little fox? What do you think?
Of course, the bear.
The bear, the little round-eared, the little teddy bear.
I mean, which one do you want to wear to a rave, Dave? What looks good? What looks good with the straps? What looks good with the straps?
With the harness?
I think the bear one.
With my harness?
I feel like the raccoon. You don't think the raccoon one with the harness?
The raccoon one with the little tail.
Only if you get two, so you and Jason both wear them. Because there's two raccoons.
We'll both be trash pandas.
Yeah, because...
Let me know, because I'm coming back with a suitcase, y'all. I'm coming back with a whole
I was able to buy a
suitcase,
magnet. They let me buy a Fantasy Springs magnet. So I have something Fantasy Springs here. But I need myself a hat. Right. Okay, so there you go. That's Fantasy Springs. Yes. We went long. I understand that. But then again, we were talking about, like, I don't even know, like 5 new things, like huge things. I can't recommend it enough. It's so charming. If you've been to DisneySea and you're like, I've seen it all, Fantasy Spring is worth the trip by itself. Like it's really, really great. And it is
I'm so happy that you went.
I'm shocked.
It was so cute when you sent us that video of you literally like running there. I was like, oh my God. I was so happy
I was on
for
a mission. Okay. I want to, because we're going long, I want to do a couple things here. I just want to talk a little bit about Richard Sherman and then we'll get to some of our segments here. Dave, can you tell us a little bit about the life of Richard Sherman?
So Richard Sherman was half of a brotherly duo, the Sherman brothers, who were really the architects of the Disney sound in terms of music. These are guys who wrote music for pretty much every Disney hit that you know from the 60s. Most notably, Mary Poppins is probably the one that rises to the surface that everybody knows. But there's their imprint on Disney as a brand and a vibe and an art form in animation and movies is undeniable. And in the parks as well, of course, they are famously the authors of It's a Small World. I posted on my socials the other day. There's this really great video. You can find it on YouTube. And the TEA actually reposted it on his death. This was from the 2015 Thea Awards. I believe it was either he got a Lifetime Achievement Award or Small World got a Thea Classic. I think it was that. I think Small World got a Thea Classic Award. And he came up to talk about the song and sat at a piano and explained to us all that it was written, it sounds all upbeat and happy, and it's made so that it can be sung in multiple languages and that it can loop over itself in the ride. But what it really is a prayer. Mm. And he sat down at a piano and sang it at this slow tempo in his sort of frail, at that point, 70-year-old something voice. And let me tell you, there was not a dry eye in the house. It was the one of the for a song that we all seemingly love to hate, right? When he put it in that mindset, when he said we went into this knowing this needed to be this prayer for peace, and he sang it like that, it was remarkable, you guys. It was one of those moments where I'm so blessed to have been in the room when that happened. But you can go hear it on YouTube now. And I didn't know them personally, but I did get to meet them and shake their hands and tell them what a effect they had on me as a kid, and thank them for all of their work. So if you don't know who those guys are, and you're of a younger generation who only knows the sort of newer Disney compositions, Little Mermaid on, do yourself a favor and go back and listen to what the Sherman brothers did, because they really did establish that part of the beating heart of Disney animation and theme parks is music. That is their doing,
including There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow as another.
Yep.
The Tiki Room.
Tiki Room. They're all over the place. I would recommend, if you've never seen it on Disney Plus, there's a documentary called The Boys, which is really charming, but also very honest about their relationship with each other too. Because being the Sherman brothers wasn't always easy. So I would highly recommend that. Yeah, passed away at 95. I mean, if you got to go, what a time to do it. What a great life he led.
Yeah. Incredible.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we are going to move on to some segments, basically just a couple here. So we're going to start with the mailbag.
You know it's nice when the postman has a letter in his sack for you.
Okay, here in the mailbag, we have a note from Joser. Now I've been a little tisky at Joser because he's sent us some long screeds of information, but no. Joser comes back this time around with information to bring clarity. It's very, very good. And I appreciate it because it explains something that I didn't fully understand. So Dave, would you please read Joser's his information here? It's very interesting.
I am always happy to be the voice of Joser. He's such a delight. It says, Joser dropping what should hopefully be a quickie. Stitch and Pride. Stitch and Pride came up in conversation with Dave, Sarah, and Victoria as they discussed Disney's 2024 Pride collection. I wasn't sure if I picked up a hint of wondering why Stitch has been a frequent character associated with their seasonal rainbow merch line, which I honestly, we were kind of like, well, okay, sure. He's the one who misbehaves. He's sassy. Okay, I get it. You know, and I always just chalked it up to that. And the fact that he wears a leather jacket really, really well. So, Joser continues. So I felt moved, nay, compelled to share this as a reminder.
Period.
The Supreme Court decided the Obergefell case and required states to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples on June 26th, 2015. 6/26. Thus establishing same-sex marriage throughout the U.S. and its territories, with Stitch also being known as Experiment 626 from the movie Lilo and Stitch. What? Head explode. I never considered that. The stars pretty much aligned for the fuzzy blue alien to be representative of pride and for finding one's family.
Ohana.
Which I think is...
Oh.
Yeah.
Because he's about chosen family. He's literally about the family you choose.
Yeah.
And that is so beautiful. Exactly. A mixed family. Yeah. Yes.
A very mixed family.
What Stitch teaches us is
so
you can find your Ohana, but also be that bitch. And we appreciate that about Stitch.
Period. Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. Period. I love that. I mean, whoever thought of that in the company and was like, you know what, guys, we gotta have Stitch be. Y'all are big brains over there. Like, that is so freaking smart. And Joser, you have a much bigger brain, because how did you figure that out? Oh, that's
right.
crazy.
And even if it's apocryphal, even if that's not the thinking behind it, that should be the reason from now on. Right?
It is now.
That it's 626. It is now.
It's wonderful. Let's finish off, of course, with our favorite segment of every week. And then it's, of course, the Asuster Computer, a poem of the week.
That's why I'm a router for me computer. Everybody needs a friend. What?
Oh, Astuter. It's konnichiwa to you, Astuter. I brought him some gifts. He's very happy over here. He's a good little robot. Happy. I didn't come home with he wanted me to bring him like a cute little Japanese toilet boyfriend, and I was like, I can't. This is a plane. I can't do that. So sorry, Astuter.
It's expensive too. The toilets are
hella expensive. But I understand. But can you help us out, Astuter? Why don't you give us something? I don't know. Talk to us about Jar Jar again. What do you got about Jar Jar? Let's talk. Anything about old Jar Jar? Jar Jar hits the gym. Muscles flex in Disneyland. Toy of strength and whim.
Oh my god.
Jar Jar Binks more like Bar Bell Binks. That sucks. We're done.
This is the last time I want to hear about him.
We're gonna workship that.
He's Swole now. Swole for Pride. We appreciate it. Happy Pride, Jar Jar. If you want to find us anywhere online, or you would like to buy our Pride shirt, which doesn't have a hot Jar Jar on it, but I think should at some point. You can buy. We have 2 shirts. We've got the one that says what allies can be eye candy. And then we have one that says I think it's ride with pride. That's right, riding with pride. Idiot, you wrote it. Why can't you remember?
I mean, you could
ride with pride. So both those are available. I think even Joe was wearing the Ride with Pride shirt in the video you just saw of Tiana in the review.
He was.
All that money goes to the
Thanks,
Trevor
Joe.
Project. Not even just this month, but all the months. So anytime you buy one of those shirts, that's what we'll do. You can find more information at radcastlepod.com. Next week, y'all, it's 69. It's our 69th episode. It's the sex app. Okay. I've only gotten one email from people. I need some more. I need some stories. Okay. I don't need to put your name on them. Okay. I just need a story. So
come on, you degenerates. We know you got some smut.
And,
we know y'all are fucking in the parks. Be so serious.
Gross.
Don't make me come out there and beat it out of you. That's what you want, don't you? You little dirty little.
You little.
Don't you? Isn't it? So much you little perverts.
Are you sure, Dave?
You want Papa Bear Dave to come beat you at it, beat it out of you, don't you? That's what you want, don't you? Don't you?
Are you sure, Dave? Are you sure you don't do erotic audiobooks as well?
Oh my God, Dave! You got real hot in here.
I have a face for erotic audiobooks, I guess.
There you go.
We're getting real
you have
delirious.
a face for radio. You have a face for radio. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so give us your episodes. Give us your stories for the episode. He's got me all flustered. Whew. So that's coming up, and then we still haven't gotten anything from cast member confessions. I'm gonna kill the segment. You all don't bring it. Watch me. I'll kill it. I'll kill this segment. So you either got to bring us a story or it's dead. Yeah, and that's of course just any fun cast member confessions, things that you did or have seen people do, whatever. You can get all of that. You can email us, find all those links at ratcastlepod.com, as I said before. And with that, grab your belongings and exit to the left.
Will you stop this foolishness?
What foolishness would you like to see?
Will you get out of here?